In the state of Lebanon, there is a colossal megalithic structure of ancient times called Baalbek. Here, you will find enormous stone blocks weighing from 800 to 1,000 tons each. The foundations of the Temple of Jupiter in the ancient city of Baalbek, also called Heliopolis, have been the subject of much speculation, ranging from UFOs to highly advanced ancient civilizations. It is believed that humans simply couldn't have achieved such a feat, and indeed this is a fact. In this video, I will present these facts to you, and after watching it, you will certainly look at this place differently. The city of Baalbek was once one of the holiest places on earth, and its temples were considered among the wonders of the ancient world. But in our time, Baalbek has been forgotten by all, ravaged, erased from the face of the earth, and we can only observe its remaining intact part. Baalbek has fallen into complete oblivion, and some archaeological books don't mention it at all. Among the archaeological treasures of Baalbek, the enormous columns stand out. Columns which would have been impossible to create without modern technology, lifting and construction machinery that hardly existed back then. Or did they? After all, the biggest question we can ask ourselves today is who built this gigantic and seemingly impossible structure for ancient builders? That's exactly what this video is about. It should be noted that the city of Heliopolis, also known as Baalbek, was located at the crossroads of many trade routes of the Middle East and Asia Minor, making it a bustling center. The city itself is very ancient, officially founded in 133 from the creation of the world, according to the Stone Temple, around 7,400 years ago. You'd expect countless references to it and its remarkable structure in ancient documents. But surprisingly, there are none. Although the city and its surroundings were occasionally mentioned, there's no mention of any gigantic structures. This region was first mentioned in ancient Egyptian inscriptions of the 14th century BC, but simply as one of the territories that fell under the rule of ancient Egypt, without mentioning the city located there. In the 9th century BC, battles took place in this area between the Assyrians and the coalition of Syrian kingdoms. As a result, a list of cities obliged to pay tribute to Assyria was compiled. Baalbek is not on this list, and there's no mention of giant structures in Assyrian texts. The first mention of the city appears during the time of Alexander the Great, who visited the area and even made sacrifices in the local temple. However, no records of giant stones from this period exist either. Furthermore, after the campaign of Roman general PBI, the region was surveyed and described by the renowned geographer Strabo. He described it as a hilly area populated by farming communities, making no mention of any giant construction. The fact remains that the ancients were unaware of these stones. Moreover, even after the construction of the Temple of Jupiter on these megaliths, neither the Romans nor the Greeks wrote anything about them or boasted of their great achievement, as if it were a matter of course, as if such a foundation was required, and so it was built. Yet in reality, this was an incredibly complex technological feat. How could this have been accomplished in ancient times? Those who have visited Baalbek are forever astonished by the sheer scale of the megaliths used in its construction, especially the gigantic podium surrounding the Temple of Jupiter. Let us first review the official version about how the pieces of stone, weighing between 500 and 1,000 tons, were carved. The splitting of the stone was supposedly carried out by driving wedges into it. To do this, a suitable flat surface was required to enable the splitting of the stone block. Holes of the appropriate diameter and depth were drilled, and special steel wedges were inserted. As the wedges were driven, cracks formed in the stone, and eventually it split. However, this is not as easy as it appears at first glance. Before splitting a stone this way, it must be quarried. It is highly unlikely that a 500-ton piece of stone could be extracted from a quarry using this method. But let's assume it was. Then it had to be shaped into the desired rectangular form using the same technique, followed by grinding and removing old traces of drilled holes for wedges. Here's a photo of footprints left by deleted blocks. Clearly, they were extracted using some other unknown method, because extracting a stone from the bedrock without advanced technology seems impossible. But let's not focus too much on this point. Another, equally challenging question arises: the transportation of these units to the installation site. Some say that ancient people could have rolled the blocks on wooden or stone rollers with the help of thousands of slaves. But if you consider blocks weighing 50 tons, even wooden or stone rollers would collapse under the load. Now imagine dealing with blocks weighing hundreds or even 1,000 tons. Try visualizing that figure. It's roughly the weight of 1,000 cars. Even the largest cranes in the world can only lift 800 tons, and only under ideal conditions and minimal jib extension. Do you understand the picture? Even today, moving such massive stones is a challenge for modern engineering. Okay, let's assume for a moment that the transportation somehow worked out. Let's assume that in some fantastic way, ancient builders brought these blocks to the right place. The next challenge was lifting and aligning them precisely. What kind of rope would be needed to pull a block that weighs hundreds of tons, especially when the load is trying to drag the rope downhill? How many thousands of people would it have taken? What technique? What machinery? Then the block must be adjusted and aligned to the nearest millimeter. Is that feasible for ancient workers with primitive tools? Today, in conventional construction, cranes with a lifting capacity of roughly 50 tons are used, enough for most buildings. In rare instances, cranes that can lift 200 tons are used, which is the upper limit. However, mobile cranes with lifting capacities of 800 tons or more do exist, but only in extremely limited numbers across the world. These machines can only lift such weights when the jib is almost fully retracted and the lift is made with minimal extension. Yet the ancient builders of Baalbek somehow lifted blocks weighing up to 1,500 tons, aligned columns weighing 1,500 tons, and placed top stones weighing roughly 80 tons at a height of 22 meters. Are we to accept that this was done with ropes, wooden rollers, and tens of thousands of slaves? If we step away from the traditional explanations and their primitive construction theories, things quickly seem foolish and implausible. The ancient complex of Baalbek is built from the largest stone blocks ever used in construction, and it has been listed in the Guinness Book of Records for its sheer scale. Archaeologists claim this is Roman-era construction, but the evidence suggests that the original builders were not Romans at all. They were representatives of a highly advanced ancient civilization, one that possessed technological capabilities that still astound modern builders. Then the biggest question we can ask ourselves is, who built this structure, and for what purpose? Today, I'll try to answer this very question for you. But before we do, consider this map of giant human remains found across North America, created by the Society of Sea Oak, an organization dedicated to studying mankind's hidden history. Every figure marks a site where giant skeletons have been discovered and recorded in press archives. In reality, the total number of hidden giant skeletons is estimated to be in the thousands, along with tens and hundreds of thousands of artifacts. For example, the Giant of San Diego, allegedly acquired by the Smithsonian Institution for $500 in 1895, was later claimed to be a hoax. Yet countless articles contain intriguing details about its discovery. What about those that claim the Smithsonian Institution destroyed tens of thousands of giant skeletons to protect the theory of evolution? According to some reports, the United States Supreme Court ordered the declassification of documents dating back to the early 19th century, documents allegedly proving that the Smithsonian was involved in a massive cover-up, destroying tens of thousands of giant skeletons found across the United States. Suspicious activities by the Smithsonian led the American Institute of Alternative Archaeology to sue the Smithsonian for defamation. According to James Charwood, a representative of the Institute, new details emerged during the trial when several Smithsonian insiders acknowledged the existence of documents allegedly proving the discovery of tens of thousands of skeletons, ranging from roughly 2.5 to 17 meters in height. The turning point came when a 1.5-meter-long human femur was presented as proof. This bone had been stolen from the Smithsonian archives by a high-ranking curator in the mid-1930s, kept in secret throughout his life, and revealed only in a deathbed confession. In his final moments, he stated, "It's terrible what we do to people. We are hiding the truth about mankind's ancestors, about the giants who lived on this earth long ago, as mentioned in the Bible and countless ancient texts. What happened next is unknown, but this story is almost certainly far from over." Meanwhile, official scientists continue to claim that there are no genuine remains of giants in any museum or institution around the world. All reports of giant discoveries that surface from time to time are dismissed as fairy tales or hoaxes, devoid of scientific knowledge. Yet, when you consider the evidence hiding in plain sight, skepticism quickly gives way to doubt. What about the giant books, weighing 40 to 50 kilograms? Too cumbersome for an ordinary person to lift, too inconvenient for a person of average height. What about the giant swords? Too heavy for any normal person to swing. What about the enormous guns and musical instruments? Why create such oversized tools? Perhaps you've noticed the countless drawings and statues across ancient civilizations, especially in Egypt, depicting tiny people beside towering giants. What do these images imply? What about statues and bas-reliefs where humans stand waist-high next to their gods? What about the gigantic statues in places like the Velmin Cathedral, where lions appear like pets reaching no higher than the giant's knees? Are these just allegories, or were these statues literal depictions? Perhaps ancient art and architecture weren't created with abstract symbolism in mind, as many historians claim. Perhaps these works capture reality, a reality we've long forgotten or refused to acknowledge. If giants truly existed, if advanced civilizations thrived long ago, then suddenly, the impossibly huge megalithic structures scattered across the earth, including Baalbek, make sense. Suddenly, the precision, the engineering, and the sheer scale of these ancient sites can be explained. That's it for today. You've been watching Veil of History. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos, and I'll see you next time, right here on the channel.